Some of the tools and technology you'll see during this program may be new to you. But let me say right at the start that what we're about here isn't so much the tools as it is the business of making art. The tools, new or old, certainly help, but you need to supply the imagination to use them. We'll be talking about some of the basic design challenges we face every day, and perhaps offer some techniques to make our solutions more satisfying. I personally have been addicted to using GOBOs, or patterns or templates, for as long as I can remember. To get broken light when I started lighting, we had to cut GOBOs by hand, to the size of the barrel at the gate. No holders, no slots, and no custom GOBOs. Just those awful throwaway pie plates, or aluminum foil if you were really hard up. Fortunately, times have changed. Now the tools, in the form of steel or glass GOBOs, are available from Roscoe. They give us wonderful capabilities, not just for breaking light up, but for creating shadows, texture, color, and depth. This idea of shaping light is used everywhere in good design, but where it's most important, perhaps, is in simulating reality on stage. Let's look at some of the ways we do that, using both new and familiar tools and technology.
Probably the most popular use of a standard GOBO, besides breaking up light, is simulating windows. Windows can shape and define a setting. Simply by changing the window style and ambient lighting, we can create dramatically different rooms. Remember, there's no window in this set, just a GOBO projection. Projecting a window is a fairly straightforward use of a GOBO, but let's add a little more complexity and try to simulate that reality Neil spoke about. This looks simple enough. Now we have a storm outside our window, but actually there's a trick to getting it to look right, and here's how it's done. You need two fixtures, focused one over the other. One of the fixtures has the window GOBO and the lightning bolt sandwiched together. The window is projected, then the window and lightning combination is flashed, focused precisely on top of the first projection. Otherwise, the window mullions disappear when the lightning flashes. We've added one extra dimension to this effect. On the floor, we project the reflection of the window as the lightning flashes outside. This requires a third fixture with yet another window pattern. The reflection and the lightning flash are cued using strobe caps. To create this lightning sequence, use two fixtures. The first fixture projects only the window, steel pattern number 7759 shuttered arch. The second fixture projects a combination of the window and the lightning bolt sandwiched together in the same pattern holder. Use steel patterns number 7759 shuttered arch and number 7177 lightning. The two fixtures are focused on top of each other so that the window mullions align precisely. Use a strobe cap on the second fixture for a more realistic lightning flash. We added Roscoe Lux 64 to the first fixture to give a color contrast between the window and the lightning flash. Church windows are possibly the most commonly used window GOBO. This steel pattern does a fine job of evoking a church setting. But adding a colorizer pattern will turn this simple church window into a dramatic full-color stained glass window. Remember that this is being projected with just one fixture.
We always need to be sensitive when we simulate reality. Most of the light in the natural world is wonderfully subtle and varied. This slide, for example, shows a window in the Vatican. The textured glass in the window casts a special light nearly impossible to reproduce until now.
Here is a set piece modeled on the Vatican window slide. The window archway allows light to come through just as it did in the slide image. Stage light alone won't do it. Even if we add a steel GOBO, the effect still lacks the softness and dimension of the real window light. This comes a lot closer to simulating what the real Vatican looked like. We've added Roscoe image glass, the honeycomb pattern, along with the steel GOBO. The rounded appearance of the Vatican window projection is achieved using a steel pattern combined with image glass. In the gate of the fixture, use steel pattern 7142 Georgian window to create the shape of the window. In the iris slot of the fixture, add 3605 honeycomb image glass to soften and round the effect. Adjust the barrel until the projection has this soft, subtle focus. Roscoe makes a wide variety of templates. Over 800 steel gobos are available in sizes for almost every fixture. Glass colorizer patterns allow a designer to add color to a projection either alone or combined with steel patterns. Image glass is deeply embossed glass that creates wonderfully varied textures and shadows and is available in 18 different styles. Roscoe prismatics combine bright color transmission and deep texturing by fusing chips of dichroic glass onto a heat-resistant glass base. The result is a pattern that can create stunning colored breakups. At the heart of Roscoe's range of animation equipment is the double gobo rotator. This versatile unit has two independently controlled wheels for rotating steel or glass gobos. An unlimited number of effects can be created by combining any of the many different gobos. Placed at the front of a fixture, the rotating animation wheel adds subtle movement to your projection.
Scenic and lighting designers, and I include myself in both categories, spend a lot of time trying to reproduce these perfectly ordinary skies. I don't know that we'll ever get our psych skies to look exactly like these photos, but some of the new tools, and your imagination, can get us a lot closer. With gobos and color, we can make psychs and backdrops richer, creating a mood or a feeling with a sky that would never be found in nature.
Simply coloring the psych begins to paint a sky on stage, but these examples lack the depth and subtlety of the real skies we just saw. If we add texture and clouds using steel gobos, it begins to look a little better. Here we've added a colorizer to the steel pattern. The broken color at the focal point gives the simple steel gobo a much more three-dimensional appearance. Let's adjust focus so you can see each of the elements more clearly. The feather-light colorizer adds dimension without imparting too much color. You can vary the colorizers and steel patterns to create similar but different looks. Here is an overcast sky. You may have noticed the subtle movement of the clouds like the wind is blowing. Again, we are using a steel cloud pattern combined with a colorizer, but this time the colorizer is in the Roscoe Gobo rotator. Moving slowly, it creates a very realistic effect. Different combinations of colorizers, steel patterns, and varying the speed of the rotator will produce a wide variety of different looks, like this dramatic, stylized sky. Increasing the speed makes the effect roll and boil like angry clouds or smoke. Some of the real skies we looked at earlier were beautiful late afternoon colored skies. Here is our version. We use the same techniques we've been discussing, but this time as sidelight and of course different patterns. The colorizers are in the gobo rotator. Adding slow motion to the colors makes the effect move like soft layered clouds at sunset. All of the color in the clouds is created by the free flow colorizer. A color change on the cyc and slowing down the rotation takes us to a twilight sky. These sunset clouds are created using two fixtures as extreme sidelight on a cyclorama. Each fixture has the same combination of patterns in it. Steel pattern 7278 Altostratus is in the gate to create the basic cloud. The extreme angle of the projection distorts the shape, giving a more realistic layered look to the clouds. In a gobo rotator, use colorizer number 6102 Warm Free Flow. The slowly rotating colorizer creates subtle shifting colors within the cloud layers. Use additional lighting to give the cyc a color wash appropriate for sunset.
Projecting leaves and branches may be the oldest use of metal gobos. They were the easiest shapes to cut out of those old aluminum pie plates. Now Roscoe makes over 100 different foliage or tree designs.
In this stage setup, we have created a very simple exterior scene. On the floor is a wash of foliage templates. This begins to simulate the effect of light filtering through the leaves. While breaking up the light this way helps make the scene more complex, we can improve the effect by using prismatics to add color and depth. When you combine a steel pattern and a prismatic, it is important to locate the steel pattern furthest from the lamp in the fixture, making it the last focal plane. This ensures that you will be able to sharp focus on the steel image. Otherwise, the prismatic will distort the final projection. Since prismatics come in a variety of colors, we can change the seasons by changing the color scheme. Using a fiery prismatic, we can make this an autumn wash of light coming through the trees. Once again, using the gobo rotator, we can add one more level of realism. Rotating the prismatic very slowly creates the effect of wind moving through the leaves, softly shifting the shadows of light. In this case, it is only the prismatic rotating. For a more obvious effect, consider rotating the steel pattern as well. This moving leaves projection utilizes a steel pattern and a prismatic. Prismatic number 3803, Spring Greens, is in the double gobo rotator. Position it in the near wheel of the rotator, the one closest to the back of the light. In the far wheel of the rotator, use steel pattern number 7805, Medium Leaf Breakup. Other breakup patterns could be substituted for 7805. Rotate the prismatic very slowly to create the effect of leaves rustling in the wind. Note that the steel pattern is not rotating. By positioning it in the far wheel of the rotator, the farthest plane of focus, it is able to be projected in sharp focus. Otherwise, the prismatic would distort the image.
For years, we've tried to simulate water on stage. I remember when we used to use broken mirrors in the bottom of a pan of water to bounce the light. That light could be moonlight gliding on a lake or pool, or perhaps highlights from the moon on an ocean surf. To simulate this light, we need random movement, soft edges, and brilliant highlights. We've come a long way from broken mirrors in pans of water.
Now we can achieve a wide range of water effects using these new patterns combined with a double rotator and animation wheel to create the movement. This effect creates a sense of the moving ocean, complete with highlights on the water. We use a steel gobo and blue water prismatic in the gobo rotator and add an animation wheel to the front of the fixture. It is very important to find the right focus. Too sharp and the effect looks cartoonish. Too soft and the direction of the water is lost. The orientation of the steel pattern helps indicate the direction of the water. Experiment to get the right effect. Rotating the prismatic adds depth and complexity by subtly varying the colors. The animation wheel creates the rippling. Often, a designer will try to capture the quality of light reflecting off a pool or lake. Everyone has seen that in real life somewhere. Roscoe makes a wide variety of water gobos. Many of them look just like you might expect. To create this effect, we have used a pattern called, appropriately enough, reflected water. As in most cases, this is just one example of the many pattern designs that would work for this cue. The trick is to create the randomness of real reflected light. Start with the steel reflected water in the static slot. Image glass is used to diffract and bend the light. Here we have chosen the honeycomb pattern. You might try plume or hammered. When we add rotation and adjust the focus, we begin to get a good sense of the effect. A second piece of image glass, in counter rotation, will cancel out the circular motion. You may have to reduce the speed of both rotator wheels to keep the rippling from looking too fast. To create this effect of light reflecting off water, we use a steel pattern to create the spider-like shape of the reflections and rotating image glass to animate and distort the light. Steel pattern 7903 reflected water is in the gate. In the double gobo rotator, use image glass number 3605 honeycomb in the near wheel and 3602 plume in the far wheel. Other image glass styles may be substituted. Those without an obvious direction to the pattern are most successful for this effect. Run the barrel to adjust focus until the steel pattern is soft but still distinct. Rotate the image glass patterns in opposite directions very slowly. Experiment until the sense of spinning is minimized.
Let's go from water to fire. For me, the difference between water and fire, in lighting terms of course, is only a matter of color and direction. In fact, rather than use the gobos labeled fire, I often choose gobos that help suggest what's burning and where. This setup, for example, is the same as the first water sequence we saw. The same gobos are in the same instruments, but we use a different color prismatic. We change the orientation of the fixed water gobo to give a directionality more appropriate to fire.
Sometimes the traditional fire pattern is the right choice, and you need to create soft flickering tongues of fire. Here we are using two different techniques. In one fixture, as we did with water, we are using two pieces of image glass, honeycomb and plume, to animate the steel flame gobo. To add color definition, we sandwich a warm, free-flow colorizer in with the steel flames pattern in the static slot. So there are 4 gobos in one fixture. In the second fixture, projected so as to overlap the first, we put the colorizer in one wheel of the rotator and use image glass in the other wheel. This helps give the fire a more realistic sense of flickering color. Again, the correct focus is crucial. Like reflected water, this effect is more appropriate when projected onto scenery. Focused on the lattice work, it begins to feel more like fire. For this fire effect, use steel pattern 7175 flames in the gate of the fixture. A colorizer creates the flickering color changes, and image glass animates the flames. In the near wheel of the double gobo rotator, use colorizer number 6102 warm free flow. Image glass number 3605 honeycomb is in the far wheel. Adjust focus until the flames are soft but recognizable. Adjust speed and direction on the rotator to suit the intensity of the fire effect. Varying them will create dramatically different results.
We've shown you in this program some of the most widely used effects in entertainment lighting, such as simulating windows or skies, water or fire. And even there, it's just one designer's idea of how it might be done. The real power of these Roscoe products, such as prismatics and colorizers or steel gobos or image glass, lies with you. All designers need to experiment. Use these products, along with gobo rotators and animation effects, in your exercises or productions, and you're back to the business of making art. Here are some of the experiments we've come up with.
To create this sun effect, we use 2 steel sun patterns in the rotator. We've cut the bottom shutter of the light to just match the ground row. Since the patterns cross over one another as they rotate, the rays of the sun seem to flicker. We create a color blending of yellow and orange by using cut gel in the color frame. This lets the colors blend together without becoming too saturated. Changing the color of the background creates a new time of day. Combining a colorizer and this steel skyline pattern makes the windows of the building more varied. Sometimes more abstract effects are useful. These next two examples combine prismatics with image glass and then with a steel pattern. We've run the focus so that you can see which elements are being used. Simply combining steel patterns can also create interesting, useful effects. The following sequence combined 3 steel patterns, 2 in the rotator and 1 static. By rotating 2 foliage patterns in soft focus, we create the sense of looking up through the trees at clouds moving above. Varying the color of gel and using cut color also changes the effect. To create this effect of clouds moving up above the trees, we use only steel patterns. Number 7774 Blossom is in the gate. Load 7863 branching leaves and 7119 leaf breakup into the double gobo rotator. Adjust focus until Blossom is the dominant image, while the other steel patterns make a soft, shadowed background. Rotate the patterns in opposition at varying speeds for different effects. We added color splits to give more definition to the projection. Many plays call for a fireworks effect. Traditionally, steel patterns have done a fair job. Here is a sequence that uses several fixtures and combines steel with a variety of glass gobos and rotators. Let's look at each of the elements we use. This animated sequence of sparkles uses a static steel pattern with a colorizer rotating behind it. This fireworks pattern is a standard glass pattern, hand-painted to create the colored sprays. These effects are also made by combining a steel pattern with a colorizer. 2 different fixtures, each with a different pattern set, are projected here. Every fireworks display ends with a finale.
You've just seen some Neil Peter Jampolis ideas with some Roscoe products and equipment. The tools, new or old, certainly help, but you need to supply the imagination to use them, and the taste not to misuse them. All that's missing now is your energy, ideas, and imagination. Good luck, and good lighting.